Pardon the interruption, but I'm Mike Wilbon. It's National Poetry Reading Day. Tony, you got one for us?
I'm Tony Kornheiser, sure do. Cora fired first. Thompson this morning. Attention, Mendoza. This is your warning.
Ooh, man, taking them all out on the I-95. Out, out, out. What about the Nats? Are you keeping your manager at the bottom of the, not the bottom, but south of the I-95 stretch?
He's 33 years old. They're not firing him. They probably pay him $1,500 a year. Come on now, give him a chance.
More than that.
Give him a chance. Welcome to PTI, boys and girls. In today's episode, Steve Kerr suggests getting rid of the three. More details as to why the Rams took Ty Simpson, and Kendrick Perkins joins us for 5 good minutes. But we begin today with the Detroit Pistons blowing the hard-earned 10-point lead they had in the second quarter last night and losing to the Orlando Magic 94-88. The 1-seed 60-win Pistons are now on the brink of elimination from the playoffs by a play-in team. Wilbon, where does this loss leave the Pistons?
Tony, it leaves them in a tough place because I don't know that there's much they can do to get better. They can't go out and make an acquisition. And to turn the team over after Cade Cunningham, a great offensive player, Tobias Harris is a supplementary guy. You're asking too much of him. Kevin Huerter, they got in the trade, hadn't done much at all in the way of scoring. And so we knew this in the regular season. J.B. Bickerstaff and Cade Cunningham were able to get around it in the regular season. Now with defenses ratcheted up, Cade Cunningham is turning it over at a historic rate. I mean, it's like 8 a game. His 24 turnovers in the last 3 games and 28-4 in the series. They've never been done before. So the Pistons have a problem, Tony, that I don't think they can solve, not with one loss to go in this series.
So I watched 20 minutes of this game last night intently. I watched in the first quarter as Detroit turned the ball over. I counted 5 straight times without attempting a shot, turn the ball over. I watched as Orlando built a lead. I think it was 17-5. Yes, 17-5.
Yes.
And it looked like a rout. Then the Pistons come back. They stop turning it over. They make a few blocks on defense. They make a few scores. And they get to the point where they're up 40-30 with 7 minutes to go in the second half. That's a 22-point swing. And I said, this is in the bag. I stopped watching. I turned over to the PGA of America qualifying at Band of Dudes because I know a couple of guys who are trying to qualify. I was stunned this morning to find out Detroit lost. Stunned even more so that Wagner, Franz Wagner, he didn't play at all in the fourth quarter. Mike, you know where they are? They're done. If they couldn't win this game when Orlando shot 32.6 from the field, if they couldn't win this game, they can't win this series. I'm not going through the bell.
I think you're right. I just don't think there's a solution to what you talked about with the turnovers and the inability to score. I don't know what they go to. What is JBP? He can't go to the pin. There's no place to go for Detroit to score.
Mike, they scored 88 points. You can't win the playoffs with 88.
No, not in today's NBA. You cannot. No. This ain't the 80s. Let's move now to Steve Kerr, a favorite of both yours and mine, suggesting a ban on the NBA's three-point line. Kerr has coached the Warriors as they have transformed all of basketball in the modern NBA via Steph Curry and the three, and Kerr himself was the best three-point shooter in the league when he played. Kerr told the New Yorker, quote, I just wonder if we got rid of the three-point line, if it would diversify the way everybody played and create a lot of different creative solutions to basketball. Close quote. Tom, what do you think of the suggestion, first of all, and the man who's making it?
I'm giving a lot of applause to Steve Kerr for waiting until Steph Curry was of retirement age to think that they should get rid of the three. And I'm giving more applause to Steve Kerr because, as you say, he was a great three-point shooter himself and never said this when he was playing and winning rings as a result. And I'm going to say this, I agree with him, and you know that I agree with him on this. And I saw the ABA introduced the three-point shot, and I loved it, and I've changed over time on this. I think the three has changed basketball utterly. I think it is as impactful as a 24-second clock, and I don't think it's as good. Now, I'm old, so people are going to say, you're just saying, get off my lawn. Maybe that's true, but this is not the basketball I'm used to. Basketball now is One guy dribbles around, 4 guys fan out around the 3, and they wait for a shot. And they're great shooters, and they understand the mathematics of it. So it's not the basketball I grew up with, Mike, not yours either. We grew up with basketball that went outside in. This goes inside out. I don't think it's aesthetically as pleasing.
Tony, I'm torn. Because I hear everything you're saying in the case you've laid out, and that's the case against it. You and I got to cover the late, great John Thompson, who when the 3 was exploding and changing life, and he got to watch, in his later years, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson change the game. And Big John would say, you know what they ought to do? They ought to give 3 points to the big guys down low who are getting battered and elbowed in the head because they are fighting for a basket, which ought to have a premium, while little dudes stand outside and shoot it, and that ought to be a 2. And you and I we were entertained by Big John's reasoning, but you know what? That's what Steve Kerr's saying. Tony, is fascinating. I think he's right to a degree, but it's so entertaining, Tone. You can't go back. People love the spectacle.
Mike, I loved it for 30 years, and that's why they call him Big John, because he places a value on stuff that's inside. I loved it for 30 years, but I'm telling you, you got to make it fair. You can't have people go to the corner where it's 22 feet, and then it's 23.9 at the top of the key. Phil Jackson says this, make it an honest circle. If you widen the court, make it an honest circle, but I don't want to say it's corrupting the game, but it's changed it too much for me. Let's move back to the NFL draft. And one of the surprise headlines from the first round, the Los Angeles Rams picking quarterback Ty Simpson at number 13. We knew the Rams had called Matthew Stafford about this. Now we are learning that Sean McVay had a long chat with Simpson before the draft that both sides kept quiet. And now there is reporting by the NFL Network that McVay watched Simpson on film and fell in love with his skills, despite Simpson having only 15 college starts. McVay and GM Les Snead became convinced Simpson could run the Rams' particular offense. Wilbon, does the Rams' rationale for picking Simpson make it less surprising to you now?
Tony, this is as big a dilemma for me. I love this question as the 3-point shot and Steve Kerr's point. Like, I understand why the GM particularly, it's the GM's job to look at the future of the team, the overall health of the team. It's the coach's job and his starting quarterback, the MVP, to win the damn game today, Sunday at 4. That's his job. And they work at cross purposes. And when you and I covered the old Washington Redskins and Joe Gibbs and Bobby Beathard, both in the Hall of Fame, they would have a disagreement like this, and the owner had to bring them in and settle it. And this is not new, this thing that McVay and Snead have gone through. I don't know. I was shocked that night. I can defend each one in a lawyerly way. I think I'm on the side of the coach and quarterback saying, wait a minute, I'm 38 years old. The coach may be out of here in a few years, but I don't know that for sure. I'm torn.
Let me start here with Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback. He was the league MVP this year. There's nobody in this draft as good as Matthew Stafford now. Matthew Stafford threw 47 touchdown passes this year and only 8 interceptions. He threw for 4,707 yards. And in 2 playoff games, he had 6 touchdown passes and he only had 1 interception. Ty Simpson can't do that. There's no question about that. But he's 38 and he has talked openly about retirement in the past.
Retiring, yeah.
I think what Sean McVay says is, I got to get me somebody when he is lost to me. This is not what the Atlanta Falcons did, trading up to 8 to get Penix when they had just signed Cousins, who is not as good as Stafford. This is something I believe for the future, not necessarily for the present, and I think you have to give Sean McVay the benefit of the doubt. The intrigue here, Mike, what we don't know, is Matthew Stafford angry? How angry is he?
We got to be annoyed, if not angry, right? At least a little annoyed, at least a little peeved.
I would think, and maybe Sean McVay is going to push getting rid of Matthew Stafford if it doesn't work out this year.
No.
I mean, let me just take 10 more seconds.
Snead would do that.
Aaron Rodgers waited 48 games to take Brett Favre's place. After Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love waited 50 games to take Aaron Rodgers' place. Ty Simpson ain't waiting 48 or 50.
No,
He's
they're not waiting that long.
He's not waiting that long. Playoff questions for our great friend from NBA Today, ESPN NBA analyst Kendrick Perkins. Let's start with this. The 76ers beat the Celtics once without Joel Embiid. And then they got destroyed on Sunday when Embiid was starting. Should their coach, Nick Nurse, should he bring Embiid off the bench tonight?
To be honest with you, Tony, I was shocked that Embiid was even playing. I don't even know why they brought him back at this point, when especially he didn't get an opportunity to get regular season reps before the postseason. It is extremely hard to jump right into the fire, in the middle of the fire during this time, especially going against a hot team like the Boston Celtics, who love to space you out, and they had a field day with it. You know, Joel Embiid is a special player, but if you got the trust in your new franchise player like they say they do in Tyrese Maxey, then you let him have his moment and see if he could come out and lead that team to victory and even that series up. And so when you bring back Joel Embiid, it showed a level of desperation. It showed a level of non-trust, in my opinion, of Tyrese Maxey. And all of a sudden, you seen that it affected the whole ball club, because you had prep going into that series for not having Joel Embiid. And all of a sudden, you throw him in there. Now, all of a sudden, you got to adjust everybody's role, including Tyrese Maxey, and you look up and he only had 3 shot attempts early in the game.
Perk, we will move up the road a little bit to New York City, and you have been here in and out during this series between the Knicks and Hawks. You notice, like in New York, people are crazed. They have just twisted themselves in knots over this series being tied at 2 and what the Knicks are doing. For good reason they're crazy, right?
Yeah, they are, but Wilbon, listen, man, the New York fan base, including our brother Stephen A. Smith, they are all delusional, okay? They have the spoiled expectations of they just supposed to be there. They're supposed to win championships. They're not the Celtics. They're not the Lakers. That's not the standard for the New York Knicks. And the one thing that they have to realize, and I'm talking about the fan base, is you have to be even keeled throughout the playoffs. Never get too high, never get too low. But the blessing in disguise that happened after the Game 2 loss was an accountability moment for Jalen Brunson and Mike Brown, because now they could go back and watch the film and hold themselves accountable and say, you know what? Karl Anthony Towns is the most skilled big in the Eastern Conference. The Atlanta Hawks don't have anybody to guard Karl Anthony Towns, and guess what? He happens to be on our team. So let's run our offense through him, let's feature him, and let's see what happened. Well, you know what happened? The results wasn't there in Game 3, but as they continue to run more offense through Karl Anthony Towns in Game 4, they end up winning in great fashion, and he had a triple-double on the road. The answer for the New York Knicks is right in front of their face. Karl Anthony Towns. The Hawks do not have not one single person that could stop him.
Here, we're going to see what they're listening to tonight. Perk, the Nuggets and Timberwolves have to be the most fascinating series so far. The Nuggets held on last night to get that thing within 3-2. Perk, this has changed so dramatically because of the injuries and developments. Where are we now with that series?
I'm going to tell you where we are. Jokic legacy, all-time legacy, is on the line. Jokic, without Anthony Edwards, without Dante, if we're talking about Jokic as being an all-time great, some people have him as a top 5 center to ever play the game of basketball, then you have to show up and show out in this moment. You have to be the best player on the floor. We have to hold him to the same standard that we would hold a guy like a LeBron James or a Steph Curry if they were in this situation. You mean to tell me that this all-time great can't go win 2 games and secure this series and win this series? He better get it done. We're all eyes on him. Think about this. Since they won the championship in 2023, it's been a second-round exit, and now an all-time great center that's in the middle of his prime is on the verge of being a first-round exit, and they're missing their best player. No excuses.
That's good. That's why you're on this show, because you will take a stand. That's what we like. Honestly. Even if people don't agree with that, that takes a stand. Let's get you out of here on this. The Spurs can eliminate the Blazers tonight. What have you learned about the Spurs as they've gone ahead 3-1?
Well, over this past weekend, it's been a lot of teams, players that made a lot of statements. But the San Antonio Spurs made the biggest statement over the weekend because the only knock on them was their lack of experience. And what did they show on the road is that they ready for that lack of experience moment. Game 3, without their generational talent, they go into Portland, an underrated, hostile environment, and Stephon Castle goes for 33. Dylan Harper goes for 27. Okay, fast forward. You get into the game in Game 4, you get down, I think, by 19 points. They never, ever showed any signs of panic whatsoever. They walked the lead down. Wemby stopped taking all them threes that he was doing in the first half, and he started going to the basket, and all of a sudden they won in great fashion. To me, they answered the question of that lack of experience. When you go on the road facing that type of adversity, without your generational player in one game and then getting them back in the next game and being down double digits, and you find a way to come out of the Portland 2-0, that showed me a lot.
That's great. That's just great. Thank you for being on, Perk.
Perk, you're the best. Appreciate you.
You guys are great. I appreciate y'all having me.
Let's take one last break. Still to come to Dave Dombrowski. Did he move too quickly to fire Rob Thompson?
This is like yesterday with the Red Sox firing Cora. And did voters get it right in naming Cooper Flagg the NBA Rookie of the Year over Conker Nipple? No, they didn't. But it's okay. It's okay. He's worse.
Actually, they did.
No,
they did. Happy time, people. Happy 56th birthday, Nicholas Lidstrom. The Hall of Fame defenseman who spent his entire 20-year NHL career with the Detroit Red Wings, won 4 Stanley Cups, 7 Norris trophies emblematic of the NHL's top defenseman, a Conn Smythe trophy as MVP of the playoffs, and was voted into 12 All-Star games. Lidstrom was named one of the NHL's 100 greatest players. With the resurgence of the Buffalo Sabres this season and their success so far in the playoffs after 14 straight years of missing them, Lidstrom reminds us of the current playoff drought of the Red Wings. Detroit has now missed the playoffs 10 straight years, which seems unthinkable.
It is unthinkable. Tony, if I go top 5 defensemen of all time, and I go with Orr, Larry Robinson, Paul Coffey, Ray Bourque, and Lidstrom, am I in the ballpark? Bob Ryan will text and tell me where I went wrong sometime in a few minutes.
You're in the ballpark. Happy anniversary, Bryce Harper and Mike Trout. On this day 14 years ago, Harper made his major league debut with the Washington Nationals at 19. The same day that Trout, who had played 40 games in 2011, was called up to the majors for good by the Angels. Trout has been American League MVP 3 times, the last time in 2019, before all his injuries began piling up. He has been stuck in a playoff-less purgatory with the Angels. Harper, a 2-time National League MVP, once in Washington, once in Philadelphia, left the Nats for division rival Philadelphia in 2019, just before the Nats won the World Series. Harper made it to the World Series in 2022 with the Phillies. Both Hall of Famers, I think, Mike.
I think so, Tony. I want you to hate Harper for leaving your team. You won't do it. But you know what? I didn't hate Greg Maddux when he left the Cubs, so I'm going to let it go. I'm going to leave you alone.
I don't hate him because the Nats won without him. They won the World Series. Happy trails, Rob Thompson. The Phillies fired their manager this morning after a 9-19 start to the season. The Phillies have lost 11 of 12. They're already 10.5 games out of first. In an NL East they won easily last year. Thompson led the Phillies to the postseason every season since taking over for Joe Girardi in 2022, even making the World Series that year, and leaves with the best winning percentage of any manager in Phillies history. Bob Nightingale reports that team president Dave Dombrowski offered the job to the just fired Alex Cora, who declined. So bench coach Don Mattingly takes over on an interim basis.
This just seems dumb and overreactive to me, but, you know, it's the Phillies. Who's surprised?
You and I are the same on this thing. One omission, Connor McDavid is a game-time decision for the Oilers tonight. We're running out of time.
Big deal.
Quickly to the big finish. Cooper Flagg narrowly won NBA Rookie of the Year over Con Knippel. Is that all right with you?
I voted the other way, but yes, it's all right. I'm going to argue against Cooper Flagg just for Knippel. The Penguins beat the Flyers again and are now down only 3-2. Should the Flyers be nervous?
Yeah, they're a young team, and the other team's the Pittsburgh Penguins. Austin Reeves, optimistic to return in Game 5 on Wednesday night. Is that significant?
Yes, you want him, but it may take time to incorporate him. You don't want to let Houston get within 3-2 going back to Houston. White Sox rookie Munetaka Murakami, homered again, leads the Bigs with 12. That's a big deal.
He can hit. I watched him against the Nats over the weekend. He knocked one out then. Last one, the Cubs snapped Mason Miller's scoreless inning streak of 34 2/3. Your thoughts?
My thoughts, I don't care. The Cubs lost a game. We've lost 3 in a row now after 10 straight wins. That's what matters to me.
We're out of time. Trying to do better the next time. I'm Tony Kornheiser.
And I'm Mike Wilbon. Same time tomorrow.